DC on CW contains adult language and discussions. If you're easily offended, do not continue to listen.
My name is Oliver Queen.
You died. I went to your funeral with you.
The city we saved.
What happened to you on the right to remain silent? But I'm not a god anymore.
I'm from the future. Because you can inspire people.
My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive.
Supergirl.
You people become a team.
Hey, cuz.
It's good to see you.
This looks like a job for the both of us.
Absolutely. Heroes. You're legends. You have failed this city.
All right. Hello and welcome. You're listening to DC on CW, Legends of Tomorrow edition on Rain Man Digital. We are finally back from that very long and harrowing winter break. If you're listening from your desktop, you can take us mobile by... Hey, it was harrowing for me.
I was like, what the hell?
I was so bored. You can take us mobile by downloading the Rain Man Digital app, available in the iTunes App Store and Google Play. Simply search Rain Man Digital. You can also find us on demand through iTunes and Stitcher by searching DC on CW. And once you find us there, go ahead and leave us a review. All right, I am joined today by Bobby.
Hello, hello.
And Mike.
Hello.
Hello. Today we're going to be breaking down and discussing Legends of Tomorrow Season 2, Episode 9, Raiders of the Lost Art. The team find Rip Hunter, but he doesn't remember ever being Rip Hunter as he's making a Legends movie. Yes. So let's get some of the news out of the way that came out over the break. First, Constantine is being resurrected as an animated series on CW Seed.
Ish.
It's still, continuing, though.
I know.
I will take what I can get. I don't think there's any...
10 minutes is all she needs.
Goddamn. Hey, sometimes you gotta be efficient.
They're cheering for 10 minutes.
Damn it. But for real, though, I would rather see the story continue and have Matt Ryan performing as the character in some media rather than not at all.
Yeah, I appreciate your enthusiasm. I saw your Facebook post, this is better than nothing. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. It is. It is. It would be nice. Come on. You can't give us 30 minutes at least?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. I would like for it to be longer episodes, for sure. But I don't believe that there's room in their actual network lineup for a full Constantine revival. I don't think there's room for that show.
I just don't think they have the audience on CW to sustain 5 shows at this time.
I don't either. I think that's asking for some burnout.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. I would love for it to happen. Maybe in the future it can get revived if something else falls off or something, but there's just no room for it.
Old man Constantine?
Yes.
Well, you just hope that it almost goes the Vixen route to where the character gets enough momentum that they just bring it to the live action, whether it's in Legends or, more into the other shows.
He got a good reception when he was on Arrow.
Oh, yeah.
So here's what we know so far. Matt Ryan is back. He's voicing the character. The series will be 10-minute episodes. It's going to be about 5 or 6 episodes long. Very Vixen-like. Will be on CW Seed. And they have been streaming the live-action Constantine episodes on CW Seed as well, which I knew they were up to something. I've talked about it before. All the pages were posting that CW Seed has the rights to Constantine. I knew they were cooking up something.
Get the social media up before you release the new news.
Yeah. But I was hoping maybe it would be a mini series or something. They should do a mini series in the summer or something.
Yeah.
Christmas special.
That and also rename CW Seed. Because every time I hear Seed, I laugh. I don't even know what it means. Why?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Because it grows into something. I don't know.
That's probably more thought than they put into it.
Whoever brainstormed that should be shot.
CW Seed is where it starts, and just like Vixen, if you grow up, you get to be on the big network.
Yeah. So the last little snippet here for Constantine news is once again the president of CW, Mark Pedowitz, once again, like his answer for whether we're going to see Superman spin-off into a live-action TV show, there are no plans for a live-action crossover with Constantine, but he did express his interest in seeing Matt Ryan back in live-action form, so perhaps we'll get another episode of Legends with him on or something. Arrow, Legends, I don't know, like something. I'm sure we'll see him pop up at some point.
This can't be the end.
Can't be the end.
Do you ever think the
I
CW
refuse.
president gets tired of answering like the nerd questions?
Yes.
Excuse me, is Superman coming back on? Hey, we have things like Jane the Virgin and other shows that you might be interested. Yeah, but what about Constantine?
Listen, so in last season's episode 2 of Supergirl, we saw.
The worst.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel
Like it seems like the only time I see his name in anything is answering these questions.
When I was driving my Porsche 911 to work today, yes, I was actually contemplating that. Yeah, this guy has so much money. He just has a generic answers because we do so many CW shows in this network, and we always read quotes from Pedowitz. It's always the same thing. I would love to at some point, and I'm like, oh, so you're not saying anything at all.
Yeah,
but he's not saying no, and that's enough to get fans in a tizzy.
Ugh.
We've got a couple other bits of news. The next one is Legends of Tomorrow. Will Sarah find out about Laurel's return? Entertainment Weekly reported on that. All right. So what do they got to say? So ever since Sarah learned Laurel's fate at the hands of Damien Dark, White Canary's been determined to find a way to bring her sister back. Oh man, the topic wasn't addressed in the winter premiere of Legends, and fans probably shouldn't hold their breath. This is, of course, in regards to Laurel being back?
Question mark. We don't know because we're recording while Arrow's on.
Yeah. We have not really figured out a check-in, executive producer Phil Klemmer told EW when asked if Sarah would find out about Laurel's return. Of course, this version of Laurel could very well not be Sarah's sister, but a doppelganger from another Earth, but that's not to say Laurel's return won't affect Sarah should she eventually find out. When we found Sarah in the first episode of the show, she was this lost assassin without a purpose. Over the course of the show, she's not just become a member of the team, she's effectively become the captain. In the absence of Rip, she's taken the helm. Of course, if you take a character too far, like if you rehabilitate them, you really want to challenge them. And that's a quote from Phil Klemmer again. So, I don't know. I don't know if
I'm kind of hoping for a little bit of a love story, a little love angle between them. I mean, it's not her sister, so it's not like incest. It's not.
It's not.
No, it's not.
It's
not. It's just not.
I was like, love interest between Rip and love interest between the sisters.
That's
wow.
I think it's time. No, it's not sisters. I think it's time. Let's do it.
I'm still trying to figure out how this is an incest.
It is.
Is it incest with girls and like? Don't you have to be able to have kids?
What?
Like if it's any kind of sisters, shouldn't it just be okay? Because it's not like you can have three-eyed kids.
Oh, come on.
No?
You just took it down another route.
It's always questions.
Three-eyed kids.
I was trying to make it sound sexy, and you turned into like deformed kids.
Well, I'm just saying it's not like incest should be between like
keyword
cousins.
Trying to make it sexy.
Yeah,
it's still weird. Still weird. Even if she's from a different universe, she's still
I'm fucking my sister.
You're from another universe.
If you tested their DNA, there would still be a link there.
Nope.
Yeah.
Physics are different in other universes. They probably don't have DNA.
Earth 4, they have 9 chromosomes. They have extra.
Whatever. All right. Some Legends Season 2 spoilers. What does Snart's return mean for Rory? In a recent interview with Entertainment Weekly, executive producer Phil Klemmer said that the introduction of a new version of Snart will determine whether Rory has changed for the better since joining the Legends. That seems kind of self-explanatory. When he returns to our show, it's most interesting for Rory because it sets him up for a big backslide, Klemmer teased. Rory is so vociferous? That's how you pronounce that word, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That's like 4 too many letters for me to understand.
Too many syllables?
I'm not a hero. I'm never going to change, but I think his arc with Amaya this season is pretty poignant, especially in the last episode you guys saw. So the mid-season finale. She's gotten under his skin. It's not a romantic thing, but there's a real Beauty and the Beast vibe that those two characters have. So when Snart comes back, it's really a question of who is Rory? Has he really made progress? Or is he going to slip into his old ways? Miller told Entertainment Weekly at the Television Critics Association's press tour earlier.
You've said that more today than you probably ever thought you would ever in your life.
I never thought I would say that many times. It's been like 6 times today. That's an exaggeration, but still. Earlier this month that he thinks that the new version of Snart is a straight up villain. All right, well.
I don't know if I like that.
He hasn't gone on that first season Legends of Tomorrow journey yet.
Oh.
The 44-year-old actor said of the potential version of Snart that is about to debut on the show. So when we meet him again, quote unquote, alive in 2017, I imagine that he's going to be much like when we first met him the first season on The Flash, which I'm looking forward to because it means I get to arc a completely different place. Can you hear my enthusiasm?
I thought Music Meister just walked in and you started singing.
No, but really though, that's exactly what I've been.
We were wondering how they were going to.
Ryan was bitching and was just like, well, I mean, they can't. How is he going to go back to that? And
was he an old Harrison Ford? That's what you sound.
But my response to that was, it has to be before he gets picked up for the Legends crew.
I don't know. Like, I could see him being a bad guy, but he was never really a bad guy. Like, even when he was a bad guy in Flash, he had a good heart.
Yeah.
He kind of went, like, sometimes in your life, you can go this way, you can go left, you can go right. He went the left route, but he could have easily gone the right and been okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But also, perhaps he's triggered by a seeming betrayal by Rory. The fact that he's, what if Rory stays good and sticks with the team and he goes, you're supposed to be my partner. What the hell has happened to you? You're soft now. What are you?
Yeah. I'm sure whatever it is, it'll work because he's just a good actor and he'll make that role, whatever arc he ends up playing, he'll make it work.
Yeah. But I mean, this is big because it's confirmation. He's saying, I think he hasn't gone on that first season journey yet. That's the full quote. But at the same time, come on, he's not going to outright say that if that's not what's happening. And that's the only thing that makes sense because he hasn't died yet. So
yeah, there has to, and again, you have to have the evil version of him. And so, what are we going to get? Like a 1992, 2002. What are we going to get? When are we going to grab him?
Yeah, how soon before? But I mean, that's kind of the ultimate. That's kind of the ultimate thing for this Legion of Doom to do is to take someone that they all have a soft spot for now because they became friends and allies and almost family and now they're scooping him up before he even became that to them, so he doesn't view them that way.
Okay, I get what you're saying now from the article. So they're going to go back even before we met him officially in The Flash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because his relationship with Barry Allen also started to alter his course in life. So if it's before that, then I could I'm on board.
Yeah, if it's before that or right in line with when he first met Barry, before things got, Yeah,
I agree.
And just seeing his face will knock that hesitation and anything the Legends want to do.
Right, exactly, because he doesn't have that relationship with the Legends yet. They haven't Barry softened him up a little bit, and then, the Legends kind of completed that for him in his character progression and really, helped with his development as a full character who doesn't care about being bad. And so I think it's going to be a real slap in the face for all of them because they look at him and they think of everything that they've gone through with him on the Wave Rider, and he hasn't experienced any of it.
Doesn't even recognize him.
Yeah, and so it's going to be that's actually really, really clever on the part of, Dark and all of them. Because that's a weak point for them.
Yeah.
That's a slap right across the face. So I think it'll be effective and it'll cause some serious rifts and issues for them. I don't know.
I buy it.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so let's jump into a quick break right now and we'll be right back.
Wow, it's a big 21. No one's ever been this close to one before.
Are you quoting Top Gun?
Maybe.
Don't go nowhere. DC on CW. We'll be right back.
You can make this Valentine's Day one that you'll both never forget with this amazing offer from AdamandEve.com. Through Valentine's Day, you'll receive 50% off just about any item. Just go to AdamandEve.com and you'll find over 18,000 adult entertainment products, including toys, lingerie, and a seemingly endless selection of adult DVDs. And there's more. With every order, you'll receive our romance kit free. Our romance kit includes a toy for him, a special massager for her, and a little something we know you'll both enjoy. Plus, a free adult DVD to put you in the mood. And that's not all. Oh no, we'll also throw in free shipping on your entire order. So check out AdamandEve.com today for this special Valentine's offer. Get 50% off one item, a free romance kit, and free shipping when you enter offer code DEAL30. DEAL30. That's DEAL30 at AdamandEve.com.
What are you looking at, nerd? Huh?
I thought I was looking at my mother's old douchebag, but that's in Ohio.
Geek Out Saturday.
But at the same time, then you wouldn't have this feeling that, okay, so Lucifer's just what? Sitting on his hands and knees?
With King Shark, I was getting a shark tattoo. And, like, I watched the episode after.
The way it ended. I mean, you end it with Rey climbing the mountain, holding out the lightsaber to Luke. And
funny that some of my favorite Westerns are coming from the Euro countries. Mm-hmm. To this day, directors and writers are able to bring the heat in terms of American.
I mean, don't be wrong, Mad Max was really good, but they washed out a lot of it to kind of hide the special effects that they were doing.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Catch up on your favorite Rain Man digital geek shows every Saturday. DC on CW, Back to Tank, Weird West Radio, The Crossroads, and more. Geek Out Saturday on Rain Man Channel 001. Listen from the Rain Man digital app or tune in. Just search RM Channel 001.
Open Sesame!
So do you guys, I don't want to just be the talking head here, do you guys disagree or agree with the writer of Trekonomics?
I like the replicators and holodecks. My generation, which is not that far off from y'all's, grew up with TNG, and I don't know, that's just became a staple of it. So,
but do you see how it can pose story problems in terms of character motivation? Like, put yourself in their shoes. If you had everything, you just said jokingly that you would never leave if you had a replicator and a holodeck. Exactly. I'm like, computer, DePaul and Deanna Troy, please.
Oh my God.
And 7 of 9. Star Trek from the holodeck, exclusively on Rain Man Digital. Go to RainManDigitalMedia.com or Patreon.com/RainManDigital.
End simulation.
Hello, everybody. This is Michael Flores, and over the past 3 years, we have delivered some of the highest quality audio content to be found on the internet, specifically for podcasting and episodic discussions and breakdowns. And now we're going to need help from the listeners. We have a $1 option if you feel like you just want to support. Every option above that comes with additional content, including shows, behind-the-scenes footage, behind-the-scenes audio, and, of course, the Rain Man Digital Premium tier, where you get the Supernatural video cast 2 to 4 times a month, including the audio version, Star Trek from the Holodeck, Comic Book Chaos, and the new Whiskey and Wine show, Hangover Betty. So if you go to patreon.com/RainManDigital, you'll be able to subscribe. So help us out. Donate. Have you missed an episode of DC on CW? Catch up on all of our discussions from Supergirl, The Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow. Just search DC on CW on iTunes and Stitcher. You can also find it on the Rain Man Digital app. Just search Rain Man Digital from the iTunes App Store or Google Play.
Well, I'm not plotting to kill Barry Allen. I'm listening to Rain Man Digital's DC on CW.
All right, guys, we are back, and we are going to jump right into Legends of Tomorrow, Season 2, Episode 9, Raiders of the Lost Art. Directed by Dermot Downs and written by Kato Shimizu and Chris Fadak. So, I mean, this is such a weird, interesting episode, because normally they go to historically important things that are related to war and politics or science or something like that. And this week, it's like, it shows how imperative different things like nerd stuff can be stories and movies and things like that, you know, art and creativity, how much impact that stuff can have on the world, and not just, you know, things that people view as being mature, like science and politics.
Yeah.
And so this whole episode dives into what would happen if George Lucas never made movies, which is crazy.
Yeah, like if someone would have told me like during the summertime, hey, the spine of episode 9 is going to be what you just said. What if George Lucas never made movies? They'd be like, what?
Yeah,
like that doesn't belong on Legends.
I was like, yeah, when I started watching, I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
I was like worried. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
When I heard about the casting and that they revealed that there would be a young George Lucas on Legends, I was like, it's going to be weird.
Yeah.
Or I thought it was going to be like a passing thing, like the young Albert Einstein and some of the other things we've seen. That it wasn't like a pivotal point. It was just, he was just there, you know, and it was like, oh, wow, what are they doing here?
Yeah, that's definitely what I thought coming from it as well. I thought that it was just going to be kind of a passing thing. But so we kind of just jump right back into everything that was going on at the first part of the season, which is, you know, Legion of Doom is after like they've got the amulet, they're after Rip, so are the Legends, and they're also after the Spear of Destiny, which it looks like Rip has had all along, or at least a large chunk of it, and took it with him when he kind of not time scattered, but did time scatter himself.
I'm glad they finally explained that.
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, how are we going to get to where, like, Gideon didn't know, he wasn't just hiding. It was, you know, a real reason why nobody could find him in time.
Yeah. Well, and that's that was his only way of escaping, and I'm sure he figured that they would be able to locate him somehow, and so he just went along with it. And he took the Spear of Destiny and said to Gideon, "There's things that I can't even tell you," and went and did it. So,
how many times can he do that? Because he's done that in just like how many short episodes, 20-some short episodes. He has a trick up his sleeve.
There's always something.
Always something. You know, well, in this compartment in the ship, this is going to solve our problem. Like, how many more compartments does he have?
Well, there was a hidden room and with the weapons, and now there was a hidden compartment.
I think it's got a sort of weird charm to it.
And the hidden chamber where they heard the message from Barry Allen. Like, how many more? What's going on in this ship?
Yeah, I think
it seems like a smuggler's ship.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of weird, but I feel like as long as they don't overdo it, like
every week.
Yeah, like every week there's a new secret on the ship.
It's like Blue's Clues. They're just trying to follow the track and figure out what's hidden.
I think it's fine at that point because he's had this ship for a while. It's been him on this ship for years now. And so he's the only one that really knows all the things that are hiding in it. And I think he's smarter than he is sometimes led on. He's never acted dumb, but you know, he's there's certain things that I think he didn't want to be I don't know, given to the other Legends as knowledge. You know, he didn't want them to know things so that they couldn't be interrogated for them, perhaps. I don't know.
Or it's just the fact that he didn't really trust them. You know, you're bringing on all these people that he hopes that are good or can help him. It's just like, why should I show you all my secret compartments where I keep my weed?
You can keep your weed
exactly.
in there. That's a fair point.
I mean, and like also like, are they ready for this type of knowledge? You know what I mean? Like he's like weathered and he's experienced in this whole time traveling thing, and he has kind of for the most part, a pretty good head on his shoulders to figure out what he can and can't do in terms of messing with the time. And he doesn't really know. Look at Stein. How many times has he tried to do things already? Everyone's tried to do something for their own benefit. You have Sarah try to go kill Dark, and then Stein trying to keep his daughter. I mean, he doesn't really know if they're truly able to handle this. So it makes sense that he does keep things from them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So jumping back into George Lucas again really quickly. So obviously this time the person that is a real person in our history is someone that's still alive. Someone that's also pretty concerned about how they're being portrayed. So they had to like figure out a way to maneuver this without pissing George Lucas off. So there's actually on TV Line, there's an article about it, and there's a quote from Phil Klemmer that is pretty great. He's just like, we take a piss on a lot of things on our show. There's nothing sacred that we can't make a joke out of, which I feel like that's us. That is also us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But he was saying, this is something that we have to let our legal department know about well in advance. There's strict parameters, especially when it's somebody who's very powerful and very concerned about how they're portrayed. So it's, that they did a good job, I feel like.
Well, I mean, that's what I was telling Bobby before you came into the studio, and I'm like, or when you were when you were taking a restroom break, like, you talk about like using George Lucas as such a very important part of the episode. Not only that, they were kind of, in essence, blowing him. Like, the fact that two of the smartest people on the ship could not do their job because George Lucas didn't exist.
Yeah, well, and there's, further on into the quote from Phil Klemmer, he says the Star Wars and Raiders films shaped our own sensibilities and sent all of us writers into careers in Hollywood.
It really did, though.
So we're not looking to make fun of George Lucas. We're trying to send a love letter to this guy. Yeah. We saw a way to explore that with Ray and Nate and how George Lucas's body of work affected their lives. And I don't think that's hyperbole at all, because I fall into that category as well. And it's honestly, it's totally true for so many people.
If you have any filmmakers you take from age mid-30s and up, the directors and writers that are in the business, if you ask them why they got into filmmaking, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say after seeing Star Wars, they were changed forever and they wanted to make movies. Almost every single person I know growing up, that's what it was when they went to film school. George Lucas, Indiana Jones, and Star Wars. I mean, it really did shape so many young creative minds at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yes, it feels like it might be going a little bit off the deep end with like the importance of George Lucas, but you know what? I mean, they've already established that both of these individuals, both Palmer and the other guy, Steele. What's his name?
Haywood.
Nate.
Nate are both dreamers, and they both love movies. So for them to be the ones that are experienced by George Lucas's movies makes so much sense on almost every level.
Well, and they're geeks too.
Yeah.
In the way that they are, they love things. They have passions for certain fandoms and stuff. And it's cool that, it was Star Wars for Ray and it was, Indiana Jones for Nate. And it really, like, they're very similar, but they are different people.
Yeah.
And they're like two peas in a pod next to each other, slightly different, but totally on board with the same thing. And it really worked. And they've definitely talked before about him, Nate, becoming a historian because of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
It's been mentioned a few times.
The only thing that kind of threw me off was, with the rules of changing time is that, it takes a while for it to kind of cement.
Yeah.
And we saw the guys getting kind of losing their knowledge like really quick compared to, past episodes. Like, I don't know if this is like the first time we've seen like our characters affected by what was changing, and just like getting like that Back to the Future, Marty McFly disappearing from the picture as things went wrong.
To be fair, it was just starting to affect them though. It was just beginning to.
You know what I mean, though? It's like when they showed like the schematic, he's like, I'm supposed to read that? And I was like, wait, that happened kind of fast.
Yeah, I can see that because usually it has been established as like a ripple and it takes time.
Yeah, so we got to fix it before it cements.
I think also it's different when it's your base knowledge, and that's like Palmer having his 4 PhDs and stuff like that, that's his base knowledge. And if the thing that led him to that went away, he would notice that immediately when he was trying to actually read schematics and do things like that. And same with Nate with reading a complicated book about a particular thing in history, if I think it's more noticeable in that way. And that's a way to kind of justify how quickly it happened. Maybe it happened quickly every time and people just didn't notice because they weren't thinking about those memories right then and there, or they didn't need to call them forth in order to do something.
Yeah, you sold me. I'll buy that. That makes sense. It does.
So, all right. So, but I mean, seriously, they lose their knowledge really quickly and immediately go into a panic once they figure it out of trying to force George Lucas back into school. Like the crack about Lucas, isn't that your allergy that you like fake having?
Your fake allergy.
That's good. I like that.
That's so good. Yeah, Bobby.
What?
Can't you not eat?
Yes, I cannot eat.
Wait, are you allergic to gluten?
Yeah.
You biatch. I didn't know that's a real thing. I thought that's fake.
No, it's real for some people.
Yes.
But then for some idiots, it's fake and in their head.
Like, I can take pills to make it better, but I try not to because just like any other drug, you have to take more and more. But yes, I am one of those weird people that can't eat bread.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know a couple people. Yeah. So, all right, the Star Wars references in this damn episode were so good. So, these two fanboys are trying to urge George Lucas to go back to school, and to a point where they're freaking him out because they're so they're rabid fanboys about it. And so Amara has to step in and go, okay, guys, let me talk to him. And it leads up to this moment that made me go, oh, because she's telling him, okay, hey, we really, you're going to make great movies and they're going to inspire people. You need to go back to school. You need to go back in there. There's a lot at stake here. The world is in danger and you are our only hope. And that camera pan down to that revelation in young George Lucas.
I clapped a bit. I was like like a little nerd.
I got my eyes watered up a little bit.
Yeah.
We're all by ourselves in our houses watching it, cheering.
I think the most effective thing about that moment was Amara is from a time before Star Wars. So she has no idea what she's saying. Yeah. She has no idea the gravity of those words.
So are we made to believe then that he put that line because of her then?
Yes.
This is the chicken and the egg now. Like, what happened? Did this always happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I hate time travel, man.
Yeah. It's always that thing. It's like, oh, this is where he got that idea from. This is where he got that idea from.
That is what we are to infer from that. Like, that is what they did that for, is to make us go, the legends are the reason that we know that famous line.
You always wonder, when you're writing, do they just go to the whiteboard and you're like, all right, list all the Star Wars references. And
right.
They're like, the trash compactor, all this other stuff. And let's see how we can get this in.
The trash compactor was so good. Yeah. It was definitely cheesy, but it was good. How do you know that was the bit of trash that they were about to compact, the one that you're looking for? How do you know? It was cheesy, but I don't care.
It worked. I think it worked for this episode. They set it up. If they didn't have such a great setup leading to it, it could have easily fallen flat.
They also didn't really focus on that. They kind of let it be its own under the breath Easter egg for fans, a under the breath inside joke rather than
it was subtle.
Trash compactor.
It was subtle. It wasn't like, hey guys, Star Wars, and they look at the camera. They didn't break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it worked as well.
Yeah. And so we see in that scene they convince George to say out loud that he's gonna make movies. He wants to direct. And of course, Steele gets his powers back immediately because time is set back on the right course, which also seems a bit quick to me.
Come on, you just fixed it. Now you're gonna mess it up for me.
I'm not against it. I'm just saying it does seem quick, but perhaps we've never actually seen anyone go, okay, fix time and go with powers. That's never been something.
Magically, my little suit's back in my pocket.
Yeah, but the intent, I think, is all that has to change in order to set history back on course.
Then he's in the middle of the fight. He's like, nah, I don't really want to do this.
You know what? No, I think I'm gonna make porn instead. And then the powers go away.
Ray's running around with a bunch of dildos in his hand.
What? Oh, so was Ray's suit upgraded? Did he get an upgrade?
Well, they had talked about that in the crossover, and they really didn't show it, but it seemed a little more powerful.
It seemed a little more powerful, but I didn't notice anything super visually different.
Yeah.
So I guess
we'll have to see how that goes, because I know they made a big deal about that with Cisco at the end of the crossover.
Yeah, I think we'll see a reference to that later. I think they'll discuss it, or he'll finish the upgrade or something later. So meanwhile, not with the Legion of Doom.
Not the Legion of Doom.
Meanwhile, with Mick and Stein, they've got their whole own story going on this whole episode, this whole side story, which has been great.
I appreciate that, because it takes away that whole Firestorm being the overpowering, let's combine fires.
Yes.
And having to take one of them away for anything, it helps out the story.
Okay, and we get to see their own merits outside of Firestorm. I'm absolutely on board with you. I completely agree. So Jax, I mean, we're seeing him. We get to see all sorts of things from these characters, but it's nice to see, you know, okay, what are your uses to the team? What value do you have as a team member outside of just powers? Because what happens when you don't have them? Jax has become an amazing mechanic for the Wave Rider. He's like protective of the Wave Rider at this point. You know, he tells Raid, you know, you break it, you buy it, don't break my ship. And on top of that, I mean, in combat, he's gotten a lot better too. Sure, he can't stand up to a League of Assassins member super well, but granted, Malcolm Merlin has been training for a hell of a lot longer and way more intensely than Jax has. But he can still do it. He can, you know, carry a gun and do his thing, and he's a valid member of the team. Whereas, you know, Stein is great at acting like a particular thing. You know, he went and pretended to be a shrink, and granted, that was a little shaky for a minute, but he still brings value in that way. And of course, he's a very talented scientist, so we get to see the other merits of them beyond just their powers. But we finally get an explanation as to what's going on. Why is Mick seeing Snart? You know, is he really there? What is he? Does he exist? Is he a figment of his imagination? And
what?
That's how I feel about it. Like, it's just this weird, rocky explanation throughout the whole episode where it's just like, oh, are you crazy? Is it because of this one thing that's lodged in your brain? Or, you know, is it not? Is it not?
Because he touched this? Is it because of
Yeah. And I'm on board with Mick hallucinating him because he's feeling things, because he's actually having to address his emotions. I like that. I'm on board with that. The thing that throws me off is, what does that mean for... I think it's distracting knowing that Snart is coming back. Knowing that we're going to actually see the character back, it's distracting.
Yeah, if we didn't know because we stay up to speed on news, I think it would be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing what's coming is distracting me from this. I think they maybe should have kept it under wraps a little bit more and not let us know that he was a part of the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
If they had said Snart's coming back, we're not telling you how, and then we go, oh, what? Is he real? Is he not? In that one episode where that's how it ends.
Like, this is how he's coming back. He's a hallucination, and then one day he's real.
Yeah. I think that would have been a better way for the fans to kind of have that, because we do stay up to date on the news, and so I feel like I'm almost let down that that's not a way that he's coming back or something.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I had this expectation for an explanation of how we're getting Snart. I know it's going to be through, you know, the Reverse Flash going and grabbing him or something, but it's just, it's distracting.
You know, but again, the whole knowing that it's in Mick's head kind of is opening up, like I said, as a character.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot more into him than, you know, if you would have told me 3 years ago when we saw Mick on Flash, you know, like, 3 years from now, he's probably going to be one of your favorite characters. I'd be like, he didn't do anything.
Even on the beginning of Legends, he was just grumpy and mean and was just like, all right. Yep. Okay. You shoot your gun. It's fine.
Yeah, I agree. Because first half of the season last year, I felt like he was just there. He was almost like a stock character, but
he was just the one that they always called dumb.
Yeah, he's grown into something so much more than that.
It was like the guy they brought along, like Snart's little brother.
Right.
Like, we have to bring him along because they're a team. Yeah. We only really want one of you.
And he's, you know, he's muscle. But yeah, I mean, they did. They basically, they had to bring him along because they wanted Snart. But this whole little story in the episode, though, did kind of open up, you know, a dialogue and an interaction between Mick and Stein. And it's hilarious watching Mick outright refuse to accept or understand what kind of doctor Stein is. He's just like, you're a doctor, that means you fix brain. That's like bottom line. Oh, I thought you were like a shrink. No. Okay, whatever.
Now you're a brain surgeon.
Right. Like, it's just that one little moment of Sarah walking by being like, what are you guys doing? Brain surgery. What does it look like? You know what? I don't even have time for this. Let's just keep moving.
Watching two people just you know.
Like brain surgery is just, of course. Yeah, okay.
That's what you do in there, right?
Everybody just does brain surgery, of course, naturally.
Well, he's a doctor.
Right. But, I mean, it's cool that Stein was willing to help him out. He was, I think he kind of is still intimidated by Mick and kind of keeps his distance from him a bit. Because they just, I don't think they've ever really had much to talk about. They work well together, and that's fine, but I don't think they've ever really bonded.
They're probably the two characters that have least in common.
Yeah. And Stein never loses his patience with him. He goes, what? That's not, okay, whatever. Anyway, so here's, a layman's term or something. He doesn't lose his patience with him. He doesn't just walk away from it. He is really willing to do what he can to help Mick out. I think it's one part curiosity and one part seeing an opening to bond with him and to create some sort of dialogue there with him and to kind of get closer or at least have a better understanding of each other or maybe gain some loyalty.
Yeah.
So I think they've both, God, thinking back too, Mick's probably grown the most as a character. But Stein, thinking back to his grumbly ass on Flash.
Arrogance.
And he was just such a douche.
They both have grown so much.
And he's so nice and he's so caring and he's so enthusiastic now. Whereas he was just this tight ass before. They've grown so much. That's seriously been one of my favorite parts of this show in general, is how much all the characters have developed.
Yeah,
they're
not all standstill.
We don't see them fall back into their same ruts either.
Yeah.
And if they do, it's, for an episode and for a purpose that serves the story or their further character development. All right, so with that, let's take another quick break and we'll get back into the episode.
Lead the way, Jorge.
It's a live read. Go ahead and do it.
Oh.
Or so one of you guys.
All right, guys, did you know that Rain Man Digital now offers a premium service?
No, I didn't.
Did you know we were doing a live read?
No, I didn't. Also, I lifted up my drink on this desk and the coaster stuck to it and fell on the ground, so I had to find that. All right, so Rain Man Digital is now offering a premium service. That's right. Besides the weekly free broadcasts, Rain Man Digital now offers a premium service, and when you pledge to our Patreon page, you automatically become a subscriber. So it's easy. The premium service includes video content, plus 4 additional exclusive shows like Star Trek From the Holodeck, Hangover Betty, The Whiskey and Wine Show, and Comic Book Chaos, plus special bonus shows from DC on CW, Supernatural, The Crossroads, and more. So head over to patreon.com/RainManDigital and sign up today. And now, Bobby.
What, you want
Bobby, you should do the Adam and Eve
You want
read.
me to do Adam and Eve?
Yes.
You can make this Valentine's Day for... Why do you have me doing live reads? I'm fucking
I thought
horrible.
it would be funny.
3 words in.
I wasn't ready. My coaster got caught.
That's not an excuse for flubbing words.
Yeah, it is.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead, do it.
Take 2.
I thought it would be funny. All right. You can make this Valentine's Day one that you both will never forget with this amazing offer from adamandeve.com. Through Valentine's Day, you will receive 50% off just about any item. Just go to adamandeve.com and you will find over 18,000 adult entertainment products, including toys, lingerie, and a seemingly endless selection of adult DVDs, and there's more. With every order, you will receive a free romance kit. Our romance kit includes a toy for him, which Bobby wants to know what it is, a special massager for her, and a little something we know you'll both enjoy, plus a free adult DVD to put you in the mood. And that's not all. We'll also throw in free shipping for your entire order. So check out adamandeve.com today for this special Valentine's offer. Get 50% off, a free romance kit, and free shipping when you enter DEAL30. That's DEAL 30 at adamandeve.com. Oh, I can't read that Adam and Eve thing without being like, yeah, what is the men's toy?
We're just going to have to get it sent to the studio here.
I just like how they give you all these things and they're like, and if you're not, and to get you in the mood, you also get adult DVD. I'm like, listen, if you're not in the mood by the time you get to that point, there's something wrong with you.
Right, yeah.
You're like, I got this lube, I got this toy.
Woo!
Only if it came with a DVD player.
All right. God.
Yeah, they need to add that too, because does anybody have a DVD player anymore?
No, but they have computers and PlayStations and Xboxes and crap.
That's true. I think we need to talk to them.
I mean,
free shipping and a free DVD player to go with the DVD.
to be fair, I don't even know.
What about digital download?
Yeah.
That's better. That's better. Yeah. Because honestly, like, I wouldn't buy a DVD player or a Blu-ray player because I have a PlayStation.
Free membership to browsers? I mean, come on.
Yeah, there you go.
2017.
Yeah.
Can you give me a code to get the commercials away from the free porn?
Give us like a free virus protection, because every time I look up porn, I get a virus on my computer.
You're gonna get AIDS no matter what.
God.
There's no code for that.
Not that type of virus.
Oh, sorry.
God. All right. Back to the show. In all of our shows, we always praise how the actors are able to take on different roles. Whether it's, the same person played 2 different ways or 3 different ways with, Wells, for instance. Or whether it's,
a dude pretending to be a dude, pretending to be a dude.
Like a doppelganger or like a reincarnation or something. It's just all these different things. And this week it was time for Arthur Darvill to play a different version of his character. He played, let's see, so he's normally Rip Hunter, but now back in the 60s, he's Phil, is it Glasser or Gasman?
Gasm or something like that. Phil Gasm.
What are you still thinking about? Adam and Eve, they'll give you gasms.
No, honestly, when I first heard his name, I'm like, did they just say Phil Gasm?
Phil Gasm. I think it's Gasman. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway,
I need that last name.
He plays Phil Gasm.
It's his Twitter handle.
God. And then he plays Phil playing Rip Hunter. And oh my God. So his American accent is really good.
It's better than a lot of the British actors.
Yeah. I mean, he did a really good job. And his mannerism.
That's Mike playing Mike from Britain.
His mannerisms too, though, were totally different. They're more erratic, more kind of I don't want to say, maybe mousy almost.
Yeah.
Like a guy on drugs who doesn't want to get caught.
Yeah.
Do they know I'm high?
Skittish.
Do they know my high? They know I'm high right now. I know it.
But yeah, and he blames like seeing all of them and all of this on like a bad LSD trip. Like, did I drop some acid? And he admits to being a drug user. So I mean, we get to see that, yes, he's back in 1967. Yes, he's directing a movie. And he wasn't just hiding. That was our thought. That he was Legends, the movie, was his way of sending a distress signal. Almost, like that's what my thought was. That was my theory, is that he was just pretending to be American and blending in with the times and sending a distress signal to the Legend.
Yeah, that Rip Hunter would somehow come up in, one of Gideon's searches, and it would be a character on this day. So it's like, okay, how did this happen?
Yeah, and that's not the case. He wasn't just hiding; he was entirely reprogrammed. Which it sounds like he knew exactly what he was doing too. When he took the Spear of Destiny and he made contact with Gideon's like warp drive, and it totally reprogrammed his brain, which poses the question, are we ever gonna get Rip back to being exactly the Rip we had?
How do you rewire?
I like this one better. Not gonna lie. I like everything about him better. Like, he lost his douchiness. I think he's a little more interesting.
I do too.
I don't know if it's just that they kind of stripped him down they stripped away all his badassery, and you got like this, you got an average person who is vulnerable.
Not just his badassery, but his baggage too.
Yeah.
All of the negative stuff, all the terrible things he's seen, watching his family die over and over and over, trying to save them. All of this, all the carnage of Vandal Savage destroying everything he knew. All of that baggage is gone.
I wouldn't mind him not having his memory for the rest of the season, honestly, and leaving Sarah in charge. And I think they could make it work.
It's just towing around this dead weight.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's the guy that's stuck staying in the ship the whole time after he made everybody else stay in the ship for.
I think it would work. I mean, eventually he needs to get his memory back, but if they drag it out, because that's one thing I one of the very few things I don't like about Legends. I think a lot of their problems are resolved very fast.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the quantum leap.
Yeah, and the thing they're doing with Rory by dragging out his issues, and also now, hopefully they're going to do this with Rip as well. Like, drag out some of the issues more than just 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like there's nothing bad about it because at least it's different. At least it's interesting. You're going to have to get Rip back to normal at some point. It's absolutely necessary for their story, and for resolution for Sarah, at least, Yeah. So we've got to get that at some point, but I'm in no rush to see the struggle of, we have Rip, but he's different. He's not Rip and he's a different person. And how do we interact with him? And when do we stop trying to just jog his memory, even though we know it's not there? It's a different challenge on its own. Yeah. How do you deal with someone that you know but isn't that person anymore?
Plus, I don't think the show's ready to have that who's the real captain.
No. We just went through that. We don't need to see it again until the end of this season or beginning of
Sarah
next.
Gets off the ship, if that's what ends up happening.
Yeah, we don't need to see that again yet. We just had that discussion between all of them in the beginning of this season of who the fuck is the captain.
I am the captain now.
I am the captain
I'll
now.
just say it. Ryan's not here, so he says it every show.
We were all thinking it. Anytime anything captain.
But so let's really quick talk about, once again, his portrayal of Phil pretending to be Rip. As soon as he came out, when he was on the Wave Rider and was talking to Gideon and said, well, what would your Captain Rip Hunter do? And he looks down at, the command, like the controls of the ship and everything like that. And I thought for a second that perhaps maybe something would jog his memory, even though we know they're not there, maybe. Maybe grabbing the controls or something would bring him back into being Rip. And so when he comes out and he's in his coat and he looks like Rip Hunter and he's about to speak, I was like, oh shit, Rip's back. What? How did that even happen? Oh my God. And then he speaks. And that has to be so challenging because he managed to not talk like his normal self. He was faking an American, faking a British accent. It was slightly off. It was so good.
It was.
I'm impressed. Like I knew Arthur Darvill could act well, but that's gotta be so difficult to mimic, someone mimicking your normal accent, but it's just not quite
just a little
right.
Off. Yeah.
It was so good. I'm so impressed with him. But he bluffed, and I liked seeing him kind of get screwed over. He tried. He gave it his damnedest, but he just doesn't remember any of the experiences he's had. So, like Mike said, he's been stripped of his badassery. And he, kind of screws up and gets captured by the Legion. So they've got him.
I was just laughing when the gun didn't work.
Yeah. And usually I'm the guy that I hate cheese. Like, I'm the first one to oh, why? But this whole episode was, and Legends, yes, is debatably a little cheesy at times, but this episode laid it on thick. Even the scene with him and the gun not working, and yet for some reason I was smiling and giggling, when that happened, especially because you see the reaction from the Legion of Doom, are they all smirking at each other? We're all laughing at it, and it worked. It worked.
And Sarah's face wasn't overly campy, there wasn't like a huge dramatic eye roll or something. It was just a look of utter disbelief of how the fuck is this happening?
Yeah.
Is this for real right now? Is this for real? Is he really...
And then he snapped back into that American accent, wait, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
And it's working.
And I think that it worked too because they're so used to, and so are we. We're so used to seeing Rip, in that coat and being smooth and badass and knowing his way around everything and effortlessly shooting his gun and to see him dressed like the Rip that we know, and for them to see him dressed like the Rip that they know, but be bumbling and fumbling with a gun and okay, does this thing work? It had to be just baffling to Sarah to watch this man that she respects, who's normally so smooth at all of this, and watch him be like that. Has to be what Why? How? Seriously?
Oh, we're fucked.
Yeah. We're so screwed right now. And so, you know, the Legion of Doom has him. He's going to be tortured, as is evidenced by the end of the episode. And they don't have the amulet or the spear anymore, though, right?
Yeah,
because
Legends recovered both of them.
Okay. Reverse Flash went through and was kind of...
Did his reverse flash thing.
He did his reverse flash thing and kind of knocked everybody down, but I couldn't tell if he grabbed the amulet, and I don't remember whether it was referenced at the end, but Sarah definitely was holding the spear. But yeah, okay, no, now that I'm thinking, Jax was talking to her, and he said they have nothing. And, you know, her rebuttal is that they have Rip.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so they have the amulet, they have the spear, and the Legion has Rip. And, I don't know. Do you think that they're going to get him to remember?
I hope it's
Through
more
torture?
than torture.
Yeah.
Like flashbacks. It's like, you know, as much as I don't want to see it, but, you know, just torturing them and not getting any information from them. And just to see like the frustration in it, because I like watching the Legion of Doom. Like even that scene when they captured them and they just start coming in from the shadows. I really thought Snart was coming out of the shadows for some reason. I was like, oh, here he comes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's just Damien and
oh man, when
Malcolm.
they came out of the dark, that was such a Legion of Doom shot.
Yeah.
Where all you see is the dark circle with like kind of caressing their body as they walked out. It was just so perfectly lit, man. It was good.
I'm not going to torture you. They are, and it was just like, wow, that's intimidating right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've got Dark and Merlin have this like mean evil buddy cop sort of dynamic going on now.
If they're going to add a show to the network, it is
Bad Buddy Cops.
Bad Buddy Cops, where they just walk around LA and just fuck people up.
Yeah.
I would
silently stab them in the gut and then walk away. Like
God, yeah. They're just merciless at this point.
You know what, though? It brought me back to liking Malcolm Merlin because he was such a nuisance. He became a nuisance in Arrow.
Well, especially since he goes back and forth so much and I'm going to be okay and kind of good and help you out. And then, nope, backstab.
Yeah, and he was like, in the first season, he was a villain. He was a bad guy. And then he just became like a nuisance. You're like, man, you're not really bad. You're not good. What are you doing? And I think putting him in Legends of Doom, by putting him in
next season, Legions of Doom, where we fall around the bad guys.
By putting him in Legends of Tomorrow, it's allowing him to be bad again.
Yeah.
Because we don't necessarily need to like him like what they were trying to do with him in Arrow.
Yeah. Unapologetically evil again. Yeah, because he's definitely like he's I think he's got a little more capacity for good in him than Dark does, or probably Thawne either. But
see, and I don't think Malcolm is even going to be on that route anymore, because we kind of always like, I noticed the hand a lot more this episode than I had in the previous ones, where we were kind of wondering, you know, what version of Malcolm this is, but he has the robo hand.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, all right, I try to be nice to these people. They fucked me over. I lost my hand.
Yeah. I think he's reached that limit now.
Where he's just nonstop. But
I think they dropped the ball by not doing like a Luke Skywalker mention on his hand. Honestly, come on, this would be the perfect episode to do it.
Like it accidentally gets cut off in one of the scenes, and George Lucas is like,
They totally dropped the ball on that one.
I don't think Legends has referenced his missing hand yet. Have they?
No. I just noticed it a lot because I think this is the most we've seen Dark and Malcolm in any kind of any episode so far.
But Malcolm definitely had gloves on for a bit of it, especially like walking in downtown LA.
Yeah, he had the one glove on and one clean hand.
Yeah.
When he was talking about going to see the Hollywood stars and stuff.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know. I'm impressed with the way that they're giving us the Legion of Doom and the way that they're kind of presenting the name. With Nate being like, yeah, it was an old Hanna-Barbera cartoon I liked, whatever. And Sarah's like, I'm not calling them that. Like,
I'd like to see how it's catching on.
But it's catching on with like all the other people, but not Sarah. And their performances they've been really good. The elevator scene also was kind of hilarious. Just like that typical elevator music in the background and the two bad guys in the elevator, like waiting.
And just like their not reactions, but the way they look, and just like you said, so nonchalant.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll get there eventually.
Yeah. And that's kind of what's making them menacing, is they're not fazed by any of the setbacks. And that's how good villains, like menacing villains, act. They don't get stressed out about it. They don't lose their temper often. They most of the time they're like, no, I'm better than you.
Well, that and these two are not giving a single fuck about the timeline.
No, they don't
it's like,
care.
oh, that guy created this, and this, and now that biker's dead, and that cop for no reason. It was just like, no, and I think that's I think last season when we saw that with Kronos, he was always like, oh, you're not important to the timeline, I can kill you. Now we have villains that are just absolutely pure evil, that are just like, no, none of this matters.
And not concerned, because their goal is to get the amulet and rewrite time itself and change the rules. So, so it seems like, as far as their dynamic, that Dark and Merlin are together and are time traveling together a majority of the time. And then Reverse Flash kind of just swoops in. He says a line when they all are confronted with each other, and he says, I'm always busy, but never late. And so it's kind of bizarre. And I'm wondering, what's he doing with the rest of his time? Where does he go? What's his game plan?
I think they have to do it from a writing standpoint, just because the fact that he's a really epic character who's been proven in Flash that he is beyond powerful. So how are you going to manage that? Flash can't defeat him right now. So how are you going to have Legends, beat him up like a rag doll? So I think they're kind of being smart about it by keeping him preoccupied. Because
that's
fair. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's not one person or even the group as a whole that you could see beating him.
Right.
You saw that just in the end there, where he took them all out in like half a second.
And not only that, but I mean, also, he doesn't really care about time traveling either. He doesn't give a shit. He'll go do it. So,
he's the honey badger.
Yeah, he don't care. So, I mean, that being said, he could be anywhere in time, anywhere in the world. I mean, perhaps even a different Earth. He is very self-serving and very much has his own maniacal plans all the time. So I'm not surprised that he's off doing something. I just kind of want to see something. And I'm sure he'll randomly bring Snart in and probably surprise Dark and Merlin.
Yeah, I got a prize.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? I mean, if you had that type of power, like I'd have dinner in London in 1920, and then I'd have dinner in Mexico City at 5:20 p.m. And it's just just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
And I also like what they're doing with Reverse Flash, because it makes me want him to go back to Flash for next season to be the big baddie again.
I don't think they're ready for it yet.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think maybe skip
he's
a season.
going to, for sure.
Yeah, I just wonder, because we've never seen I can't remember his last name, but Matt whatever play Reverse Flash for get on screen a lot, and what he's done with the character is completely different than what we saw with Wells in that first season, and I like this one a lot more. It just seems a lot more menacing, and I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, he is not scared or threatened by anything. He knows he is very powerful. He knows that time is on his side because he can do whatever he wants. He has no doubts about himself, no confidence issues.
Yeah, it almost seems like this is like a side project, because his main project is still planning and plotting against the Flash. You know what I mean? That's what he's off doing.
Maybe that's what the Spirit Destiny's for him.
Yeah.
I'm going to use it to make sure this asshole doesn't screw me over.
Because he is very self-serving. I just want to know how he knows when to contact them or when to show up and save their asses.
Maybe they have a Speed Force cell phone.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Beeper.
Distress button.
Little pager.
A beeper. Were you even alive for those?
Yeah.
No way.
I was bored right when they went out of style.
Well, yeah, because cell phones didn't become prominent until late 90s.
Yeah.
When were you born?
1990.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
So you had a pager when you were like 6?
No.
Oh.
I didn't get a cell phone until... What? Kids didn't have that crap then. They had video game systems.
Upside down, I love you. Like little stupid messages.
God.
Only old people know that.
My code was 808 because it spelled my name. So that's how you knew it was me.
Yeah, but no, they were relevant in pop culture and stuff when I was a child.
I saw them in movies.
And people had them.
Yeah, doctors.
They still have them, don't they? So dumb. Actually, you know what? I think some doctors do.
I heard it in an Ice Cube song.
No, people had them. Like
I watched a documentary on
people's
Netflix.
parents and stuff like that had them, and but I didn't get a cell phone until I was like 15.
Oh,
dang!
I mean, there were some other kids that had them at like 13, 14, I think, but I mean, kids didn't get cell phones right away. It was only some kids that had them at that age. Most of them had them like now. Kids have them at like 8 years old or some crap. But
my kid has an iPhone, and he was like 7 when he got it.
Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was not the case.
I would have got it for him. My mom did for a present. Like, yeah, you get him a better phone than I got. Thank you.
Hey, can we just move my number to his? And
I almost did it.
Yeah, no shame. I wouldn't blame you.
iPhone Plus, and I'm like, I don't even have that yet.
God.
Buy it for me, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who do you love more, Mom?
God.
What about me?
So final thoughts on the episode. Anyone?
I can go.
Yeah, do it.
All right. Might be the best episode of the season. I don't want to be swept up in the excitement of this episode. So it's the best episode, but
you don't want to be Force Awakens it.
Exactly. But the director, Dermot Downs, it all goes to him. Writing, yes, is the backbone of episodes, but when you have everything fall into place like this episode, meaning the writing worked with the actors worked with each other, meaning the chemistry, the cheesiness that worked, everything flowed and was in sync, and that is 100% on the director. And that is why I think this episode is so strong. Is this guy's a veteran TV director? He's directed. If you look at his IMDb, he's directed like countless episodes of The Flash, Arrow, a couple episodes of Blind Spot. This guy knows his shit in television directing.
This guy knows Greg Berlanti.
But he does a good job, and I think ultimately, that's the reason why this episode worked. He knew how to get what he wanted from each and every actor, and they delivered because of him.
Yeah. Honestly, that's almost word for word what Bobby and I were saying earlier about Supergirl's 9th episode as well. Their comeback from the break was so strong, and it was due to so many things, but it all comes down to the director, because the director's the one that has the final call on, okay, the way you delivered that line was good. Because if you have good writing but a bad director, it can all fall apart. A good script can be turned bad with bad directing easily. Good acting can be turned bad with a bad director. If someone with amazing talent and amazing potential gets directed to do things in a way that's either uncomfortable for them or doesn't make sense for the character or is just kind of lackluster, it can totally screw it. And it's the actor that catches the flack for it, of course. But you're totally right. I mean, it was such a strong episode. Both of the episodes so far this week, Supergirl and Legends, were so strong on that front, and so like they were well rounded. They made sense. They gave us answers. They gave us a couple new questions. The acting was great. They had successful side stories that tied into the main story well, and this has been probably. I think it's my favorite episode of Legends so far this season, followed closely by, or maybe they're in a different order, but it's one of my top 3, which are, Abominations, which was the Civil War one, and Invasion, because the Legends Invasion episode was the best one of the crossover. And, those are fantastic episodes, and so is this. It has me back and excited, ready to go, ready for the next episode, ready for the next bit of the season, and kind of really concerned about what the Legion of Doom is going to do to not only Rip, but the rest of the team and what they have in store. It was great.
I agree with everything what I appreciate the most is that it wasn't going to a time to find like a time quake. We have something going on here. We have to figure it out. It was probably the first episode where we've seen like the Legion of Doom the whole time, just not as a side piece character or like, oh, hey, remember us? We're the Legion of Doom. And I hope they continue down that path to where the rest of the season isn't about kind of the villain of the week or, whatever, that they go and they're hunting the Legion of Doom. They're trying to figure out what they're doing. They're trying to take them apart. Even if it is in different time periods, I would rather see them going after the Legion of Doom the whole time than, some other character or some other, method that's going on out there.
Yeah.
Because I do really appreciate in Malcolm and Dark are on the screen. It brings a smile to my face. It's
they're so good.
Yeah, and it's just like, I'm not joking. If they had like an evil buddy cop TV show, I would watch the shit out of that. Because they're so good together and they play off each other so well. Legends has slowly become probably one of the favorite show that I know I'm not going to get disappointed by. I can't name an episode of Legends that I've watched and I'm like, oh, they could have done something different. Legends is always keeps to that. It's fun. It's funny. The pop culture references, all that stuff is all worked. And, this one was probably the pinnacle of it so far. Again, this would probably be my favorite episode of the season.
I think one last thing. I think that also it was a really good love letter, not only to George Lucas and to his movies, but also to fans, because most people are fans of at least one of his franchises. And
Howard the Duck.
And we totally share that passionate love for them. And to watch Nate and Ray get affected the way that they did, and to get so up in arms and like, I never saw those movies, so I'm not who I am. They were that imperative and that important, and like, it was paramount to my development as a human being. It's so true for some things. So with that, we're gonna take a quick break and then kind of get into something really relevant to that.
I guess I'll bone up on the ballet. Gideon, bone me.
Don't go nowhere. DC on CW. We'll be right back.
The Rain Man Show. The Rain Man Show.
There's always exaggerations of how he's going to build this wall, or it's going to be a fence.
Boat with Alligator Boy.
That's what we need to do. I think we need to do something like the Great Wall of China to keep the Mongols out. You know how they did that? I think we should create the Great Wall of America
and have like fire sigils that you can light like in Mulan to let them know that they're crossing.
That would be amazing. And then we have sentries walking all up and down. Like,
the beacons are lit. Texas calls for aid.
If you want to win the world over, okay, just go the geek route.
But if you want to get their vote and stuff, make the world closer to Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, you'll probably convert a fair amount of people.
Yeah. There'd be nobody complaining if he sold it like that.
Right.
Instead of saying, they're rapists, he should have called them like, they're like ring wraiths. They're coming over here.
The White Walkers.
They're trying to kill us.
The wildlings are making a run for it.
We're going to put up the wall. Blow the horn, Frodo. And let's be honest, the Mexicans are like hobbits. I mean, they're short.
Oh my God! No, I want to hear you can finish this comparison.
Yeah,
they're short.
We're Donald Trump is Sauron.
For more Rain Man, visit RainManShow.com.
You can make this Valentine's Day one that you'll both never forget with this amazing offer from AdamandEve.com. Through Valentine's Day, you'll receive 50% off just about any item. Just go to AdamandEve.com and you'll find over 18,000 adult entertainment products, including toys, lingerie, and a seemingly endless selection of adult DVDs. And there's more. With every order, you'll receive our romance kit free. Our romance kit includes a toy for him, a special massager for her, and a little something we know you'll both enjoy. Plus, a free adult DVD to put you in the mood. And that's not all. Oh no. We'll also throw in free shipping on your entire order.
So check out AdamandEve.com today for this special Valentine's offer.
Get 50% off one item, a free romance kit, and free shipping when you enter offer code DEAL30. DEAL30. That's DEAL30 at adamandeve.com.
You're listening to Rain Man Digital's DC on CW.
All right, we are back. And yeah, I mean, this week we see what happens when Nate and Ray, when they lose something from pop culture that completely shaped their future and their careers and their development as human beings. And now it's time to find out who would cause us the same life-changing moments. Bobby.
Again, when they started this episode, I wasn't really sure where they were going with it, with the whole George Lucas thing. And then once they took them out and you kind of saw them lose their powers, you know, for me, like, those people would end up being somebody like a Kevin Smith. That kind of, those were the movies that I watched over and over again. And it kind of showed that whole, like, smart-assness, like, real life type scenarios that I appreciated. The other people would probably be Tim Burton with, like, the Batman film. That completely changed my outlook on, like, Batman in general. Like, I was a huge, like, Batman 66 fan because I, like, you know, growing up, because of just, it was on TV, it was fun, it was Batman. And then, you know, I can remember when Batman came out with, you know, Tim Burton, his spin on it, I was like, wow, this is what Batman could be. You know, we haven't really seen this. And that was kind of, you know, I was 9 at the time, so that was before, like, I really got into, like, the hardcore comic books, you know, so I couldn't really throw it out to, you know, any, you know, like Frank Miller or any of those guys, because I really hadn't experienced that yet. And, you know, I think those would kind of, Todd McFarlane, I can remember growing up watching Spawn and being like, this is the coolest shit ever.
Jesus. You grew up watching that? Like you were a kid?
I grew up reading
cartoon?
Spawn.
Yeah. Oh, we were old enough, huh? When that came out on like, HBO?
Yeah, like 11 or 12.
No. How old are you?
I'm 37 now.
We were like,
dude,
I think we were 16, 17. The ones on HBO?
Yeah, those, the first HBO shows, yeah.
Damn it, that thing was dark as hell too, man. Shit.
And I can remember when I first started watching that, and I thought it was a Tales from the Crypt, because it started with Todd McFarlane in the basement just talking. It's like, what the hell is this? And then when it came on, I was like, what the fuck? This is awesome. You know, and I've been a huge Todd McFarlane fan ever since. And so I think those are the type of people that kind of influence, like, the way I think, the way I kind of speak, you know, what I like. I mean, shit, I've named my daughter after a Batman character and basically Kevin Smith's daughter. It's like, big fucking nerd. And, you know, those are the things that I look forward to. And, you know, I think if those things were taken away, who knows? I probably wouldn't be in this room talking on this microphone right now.
Yeah.
Oh. Mike's like, can I get rid of those fuckers? I'm tired of you being here.
God. Mike, you go.
Yeah, you know what? Mine is a lot like, I think it's because the age range is the same as the guys on the TV show. Like, I mean, George Lucas and Star Wars just resonated as a child, but also Robert Zemeckis was Back to the Future.
Harold Ramis.
Yeah, Stephen King, Quantum Leap, Briscoe County Jr. These are things that all shaped the things that I like to this day. And also, all those things I just mentioned also inspired me to go nerd here, film school. So that's why I started laughing, because I'm like, these guys are me.
You're George Lucas.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know, all these things did inspire me to go to film school. And I remember the first day of film school, you go around talking, and you feel like such a schmuck, but you find out that everyone's inspirations are very similar, especially with if you're around the same age range between 32 and 39. A lot of it's the exact same thing in terms of the films you grew up and why you got into, why you ended up having this interest.
For me, I feel like Star Wars has to be one of the biggest things. And even though I'm younger and I'm in a different, like, there's a generation gap there. It's not like I grew up when they were coming out or anything like that. But there's still, for me, like, my dad and my brother didn't get along. They borderline hated each other. They would fight and argue all the time. And that was a thing that we could all agree on. My first convention was in 1997, and it was AZ Star Wars Con. So, like, and that's I've been, that was 20 years ago this year was my first convention, and I'm only 26. I'll be 27 this year. So I was 7 years old, and that was my first convention. And I met, I met Jeremy Bullock. I met David Prowse, I think, was there. I met.
Who are these people? Boba Fett, Darth Vader?
Yeah.
Just want to make sure people know.
Okay. Yeah. Well, whatever. Fine. Mon Mothma, C-3PO, Chewie,
call them by their characters.
R2. All of the there was basically like the whole supporting cast, and just not the top three were there.
What about CGI Leia? Was she there?
Shut up.
She will be now.
But yeah, I mean that was that along with, for me when I was younger, Spawn was the first comic book I ever read.
Jesus,
my brother
vicious.
My brother would buy Spawn, and we'd go to back in the 90s.
Back in the 90s.
Shut up.
Go way back.
That was 20 years ago.
I thought for sure
we graduated. Me and Mike graduated.
I thought for sure she was gonna say pagers. Changed her life.
Shut up.
Altel.
Papers changed my life. Altel. No, but seriously though, like Spawn was the first comic book I ever read, and my brother would give me his comics, and comics weren't seen as anything other than juvenile by people that didn't read them.
It's a cartoon. What can be in there? That's bad.
And so I watched the cartoon, and I read the comics, and I was like 6 when I started reading Spawn, and I thought to myself as I'm reading in my bedroom, Mom and Dad probably wouldn't want me reading this if they knew, but it's just a comic book, so it's okay. And so, I mean, that spawned my that sparked my interest in comics and in manga and anime and stuff like that. And I remember I watched Akira when I was
in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
That's so how old are you? Like 8, 9?
Yeah, I started watching anime, and
some of that stuff traumatized me. Like Ninja Scroll to this traumatized my life.
I watched Ninja Scroll when I was 9.
What the fuck? Are you serious?
Yeah. And
the funny thing is, I'm the guy who Dad wouldn't let him watch rated R movies till I actually turned 18. And Ryan makes fun of me to this day when I'm like, I never saw Predator until a year ago and all this other stuff because my dad wouldn't let me watch it.
I had a big brother that didn't give a fuck what I listened to or watched or whatever. And my parents were. My dad wasn't around a lot. He worked. He was overseas and out of state a lot working, and so it was my mom, and she was kind of absorbed into her own self and her own things. So there wasn't a lot of supervision there as far as what I would watch or play as far as video games and stuff like that. I would play Resident Evil with my brother and stuff like that, and at the time, that was still it's a mature game and stuff. So. But all that sort of stuff. And I was a book nerd when I was a kid. So if there weren't authors like C.S. Lewis or Tolkien or anything like that, one of my biggest loves is fantasy and medieval fantasy and dragons and knights and castles and if there and just magic and stuff like that. So if none of those authors existed, I wouldn't be me. And Star Wars at its core, even though it's in space, is a fantasy. And so stuff like that, if that wasn't around, I don't know who I would be.
Pornos are fantasy.
Shut up.
I'm just saying.
I was about to admit something on air and I'm not going to.
Oh, come on.
See what happens? You give the wrap up sign and you threw her off.
Okay, I got in trouble in I think 3rd grade for bringing my brother's porn to school.
Oh,
a magazine.
That's not hot. I thought it was going to be something.
No, it wasn't going to be hot. It was just I got in trouble. I got suspended from school. No, God, ew. But no, I brought porn to school in 3rd grade and got in trouble and got sent home, and my parents were called, and then my brother got in trouble for not hiding it well enough.
That makes so much sense to me.
Yep.
Oh,
that's me.
That's awesome.
All right. So on that note, I think that's going to be it for today's DC on CW Legends of Tomorrow edition. Remember, you can always catch any past and future DC on CW episodes through the Rain Man digital app, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at DC on CW Facebook.com/DC on CW. And Instagram is at DC_on_CW. We'll catch you next time.
Not in the mood for chit-chat. Gotcha. Ready when you are.